Everyone, it's really an honor to be here at this Feast for Thinking. I know it's called ThinkFest, but it is a feast. And I'll be able to tell my grandchildren that I followed Elijah One to the stage years from now. So, welcome. So, if you would please indulge me for a moment and just close your eyes for a moment. If you could just close your eyes. Now, imagine navigating your way through the convention center with your eyes still shut, no assisted Comcast technology, and channel that disorientation and dislocation you feel maneuvering through a building full of strangers with your eyes closed. Could you have found your way into this great convention center and into this room without seeing? Then please open your eyes. And while you're still feeling that tinge of anxiety, imagine coming to a new country where you don't speak the language, where you don't know whether the people around you are your friends or your foes. How are you going to provide for your family? How will you survive? That was the experience of many of our grandparents and parents, or maybe even ourselves, including my own. And today, this scenario plays out every day as immigrants, often fleeing persecution in their native country, arrive in our soil. As a son of Chinese immigrants, I can relate to those challenges and to the immigrants' struggle to achieve the American dream. My parents arrived in America just after World War II. They were scientists who worked for large organizations, and yet they had entrepreneurial dreams. After my dad died back in 1982, my family was faced with the bittersweet task of sorting through his things. Maybe some of you had to do this. Each item we came across triggered a new memory or a new emotion. So as I went through his desk, I found a folder filled with ideas he had for businesses. Ideas he never turned into reality because he ran out of time and good health. It was an emotional moment for me, sitting at my dad's desk, sifting through his unrealized dreams. I still despair about that discovery, but sometimes despair pivots into inspiration, and I've channeled that anguish I felt over discovering my own experiences to start my own company. And the work I do today at the University City Science Center, where we help entrepreneurs turn flashes of inspiration into thriving businesses. Along the way, I've learned how to breathe life into startups with grit and determination. It's what entrepreneurs call bootstrapping. I think all the immigrants can relate to this concept of bootstrapping, and none as well as the immigrant entrepreneurs who are creating technologies and products that will transform our world and our economy. Yet their contributions are often overlooked as their voices are often missing from our nation's rancorous and ongoing debate on immigration. We need their raised voices, especially today. America was built on the twin bedrocks of immigration and entrepreneurship. Think of Scottish-born Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone and founded what is now known as AT&T. Or French-born E.I. DuPont, who founded the chemical giant in my home state of Delaware. Or Intel founder Andy Grove, who was born in Hungary and transformed the semiconductor industry. When immigration and entrepreneurship intersect, magic can and often does happen. And I believe we must embrace that magic, support it, and expand it. So with that in mind this afternoon, I invite you to join me in shining light on the immigrant entrepreneur, the embodiment of the American dream. I'm proud to report that we live that magic at the Science Center. Nearly a third of our 70-plus companies in our business incubators were founded by somebody who was born outside the United States. Let me introduce you to two of them. Yasmin Mustafa and Mihir Shah. Yasmin, Mihir, and the other immigrant entrepreneurs at the Science Center are out to change the world. Yasmin was a young girl when she and her family were forced from their home in Kuwait by the first Gulf War in 1990. They immigrated to the U.S. and settled here in Philadelphia. I first met Yasmin when she moved her startup, Roar for Good, into our IC at 3401 co-working space in West Philly. Roar is developing wearable technology to help prevent attacks on women. I was immediately impressed by Yasmin's drive, her enthusiasm, her seemingly endless supply of energy. When I don't see a solution to a problem I have, I build it or try my best to inspire someone to, Yasmin says. It's satisfying to make things happen and build something out of nothing, especially when it inspires others and makes a difference in their lives. Roar isn't Yasmin's first startup. or her first entrepreneurial endeavor. She started 123 Lincoln, a software company that was acquired in 2011, and also launched the Philly chapter of Girl Develop It, a nonprofit aimed to bridge the gender gap in technology. But I think it's safe to say that ROAR has received the most attention as it's gotten off to a roaring start. The speech writes itself here. The crowdfunding campaign that Yasmin and her team launched a year ago raised more than 650% of its original goal. Along with that came stories in the Huffington Post, Fortune, the New York Times, and Philadelphia Magazine. And this summer, Upstart Business Journal named Yasmin one of the 100 best inventors alongside the founders of Fitbit and Giphy. Today, ROAR employs a dozen people, but their impact extends far beyond the jobs created. Yasmin and her team are empowering women to take control of their personal safety. We believe we can truly make a difference in ending violence against women, Yasmin said. Mihir Shah is another immigrant entrepreneur at the Science Center. He's from India. His company, UE Life Sciences, is transforming breast cancer detection around the world, thanks to technology invented by immigrant scientists and engineers from Drexel University. Inspired by his own family's experience with breast cancer, Mihir founded UE Life Sciences and licensed the technology from Drexel in 2010. Mihir then leveraged $1.3 million in grants to further develop an ultra-portable, radiation-free mobile device called iBreast Exam. Community health workers in India and around the world can use handheld devices to provide painless breast examinations for just $1. The device has performed brilliantly in various clinical trials and has been cleared by the FDA. Even aside from the $1 cost per test, what an improvement over traditional mammograms that require bulky, expensive equipment, trained technicians, and radiologists to administer and interpret X-ray results. Today, UE Life Sciences has screened over 30,000 women in India, where there's a dramatic need for early breast cancer detection in remote regions. And they have plans to reach 600,000 more people. And India is just the beginning. UE Life Sciences now employs 45 people across 4 offices and has raised over $4.2 million in venture funding. In the coming years, Mihir hopes to expand to Southeast Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Talk about a global impact. Yasmin and Mihir are just 2 of the thousands of immigrant entrepreneurs operating in the U.S. today. They hope to have the same disruptive impact on our world as Google founder Sergey Brin, Tesla founder and UPenn graduate Elon Musk, and the founders of Uber and Chobani Yogurt. All of them immigrant entrepreneurs. This talented and motivated group is creating technology and products that are transforming our world and our economy. And they are a force to be reckoned with. Here's some amazing statistics. From Inc. magazine. Immigrants account for about 13% of the U.S. population, and yet they start more than a quarter of all new businesses in our country. And from USA Today, in 2013, 1/3 of entrepreneurs starting privately held venture-backed companies were immigrants. And from the Wall Street Journal, more than half of U.S.-based startups valued at $1 billion or more were started by immigrants. These numbers and these voices are missing from our national debate on immigration. And that's an omission that's created a dangerous distortion on the narrative on immigration. We need these brilliant people with their bright ideas, the companies they form, and the jobs that they create. Despite some loud yet uninformed voices saying the contrary, we're making some progress. In a 2016 Pew Research poll, they noted that 60% of Americans believe that immigrants strengthen our country because of their hard work and talent. Hamdi Ulukaya, the founder of Chobani Yogurt, surely meets all those criteria. Mr. Ulukaya, a Turkish immigrant, founded Chobani in 2005. He parlayed an $800,000 loan to build a factory in upstate New York and has since grown his company to a valuation of over $3 billion. Ulukaya is committed to helping others, especially refugees, who make up 30% of his workforce. He says, matter-of-factly, if a refugee has a job, they are no longer a refugee. This past spring, Ulakai decided to give back to those who had helped him to succeed. He announced that he was giving his 2,000 employees shares in Chobani that will be worth up to 10% of the company when it goes public or sold. That's a lot of opportunity. I built something I never thought would be a success, but I cannot think of Chobani being built without all these people. That's what he told the New York Times. Now they'll be working to build this company even more and building their future at the same time. So what can we do to support immigrant entrepreneurs like Ulakaya and Mahir and Jasmine and their companies that form and the jobs they create? To answer that, I first need to remind you that starting a company is a difficult proposition no matter where you're born. I know that because my first startup, Millennium Cell, was a spectacular failure in spite of a successful IPO. However, immigrants face even higher hurdles. As the National Foundation of American Policy notes, all entrepreneurs face the challenges of raising capital and developing new and marketing new ideas. However, foreign-born entrepreneurs must be the additional burden of dealing with an immigration system that's not designed to facilitate startup activity. One key weakness is the H-1B visa program. Now, for those of you not familiar with H-1B visas, essentially they allow U.S. employers to temporarily employ foreign-born workers in specialty fields. H-1B visas are the lifeblood of high-tech and life science companies that often struggle to find qualified workers in their highly specialized fields. But there's a catch. Demand far outpaces supply. Only 85,000 H-1B visas are available each year, 85,000. Can you guess how many applications there were in 2015? More than 233,000. So simple arithmetic shows we need to create many more of these opportunities. But H-1B visas are not the silver bullet. You see, they don't necessarily help immigrants who want to start their own businesses. Take the example of Jyoti Bansal, the founder of App Dynamics, which has more than 900 employees and a valuation of $1.9 billion. As the National Foundation of American Policy reports, Bansal wanted to start his own company, but he couldn't leave his job to do so without losing his H-1B visa status. He had to wait 7 years until he received employment-based green card. You see, U.S. citizenship and immigration, U.S. citizenship and immigration services rarely approves H-1B visas for a foreign national as the CEO of a startup company. And unlike many other countries around the world, the U.S. does not offer visas for immigrant entrepreneurs. Amazing, sad, yet true. But there is hope. The Department of Homeland Security has proposed what they're calling the International Entrepreneurship Rule, which would allow qualifying immigrant entrepreneurs to stay in the U.S. to operate and grow their startups. Immigrants would have to demonstrate substantial potential for rapid business growth and job creation. At the Science Center, we believe this proposal, while needed a few tweaks, reflects a worthy effort to adopt a framework to allow immigrants to remain in the U.S. Before they're tempted to go to another country, we can have them here to invest, create jobs, and foster economic growth. Now, wouldn't that be the kind of sustainable economic stimulus that we could all support? Before I close, I want to take a step back and look at immigration and the related topic of race from a wider perspective. Did you know that by 2044, the Census Bureau predicts that the United States will become a majority-minority country? That's a country in which no racial group makes up more than half the population. Today, I think that seems like a long time off. But wait, no matter which side you landed on during the election campaign, and no matter what you think of our president-elect, did you really think I was going to go through the entire talk and not talk about the election? Anyway, no matter what you think of our president-elect, I think we can all agree that America is still conflicted about immigration and race. An unlikely muse in this conflict is Stephen Colbert. Maybe you heard this. He once passionately said, "My Irish grandfather did not travel across 4,000 miles of the Atlantic Ocean to see this country overrun by immigrants." If you recognize the humor and irony in that strange form of xenophobia, then you've also recognized the echoes of it throughout this political season. I hope you see as I do that this humor reveals a divide and distrust that we must address for our own good in our emerging majority-minority society. I am hopeful and optimistic that we will succeed in solving our societal differences in race and immigration through business growth and innovation and entrepreneurship. And there's a lot of room to grow here in Philadelphia, too. When you look at the percent immigrant entrepreneurs in major metropolitan areas, Philly lags behind San Jose, Miami, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and New York. Philadelphia has other challenges as well. I think you'll agree that we truly live in the midst of a city of two tales, said by other speakers. Against the backdrop of construction cranes and a vibrant innovation ecosystem is the stark fact that more than 25% of Philadelphians live in poverty. And with that as a backdrop, I'd like to pose a challenge to my colleagues at science centers, to our partners in innovation, and to all of us, you and me. Let's embrace the approach of immigrant entrepreneurs to transform endemically poor neighborhoods in Philadelphia. In many ways, people in poor communities in our city are strangers in their own country, aren't they? Yeah. Let's embrace them with entrepreneurial opportunities too. Let's open up pathways to better access and inclusion for all of us, and introduce all Philadelphians to the power and the promise of technology and innovation. Let's make sure all Philadelphians, regardless of the neighborhood we call home, are included in Philly's innovation and entrepreneurship success story. Ultimately, I believe economic development and economic opportunity must be synchronized. We need company and job creation with a skilled workforce made up of both Native Americans and immigrants. Let's work together to make that happen. So I'd like to leave you with Roar for Good, Yazid Mustafa's manifesto, which I believe can serve as a rallying cry for us in Philadelphia, no matter where you were born. I roar for breaking glass ceilings. I roar for future generations. I roar for all underprivileged and challenge all privileged to step up. I roar for those who can't. I roar for the greater good. I want to thank you so much. It's been so energizing.